This will be lesson number 7 in my series on my musical notation invention called Gabriel Music Notation. And this is the program I've really been looking forward to, because here is where we begin to actually play the keyboard. Up until now, we've been learning musical theory, how to read the keyboard, how to read the notes. But now we get some practical experience, and we will begin by doing the scales, which is a time-honored traditional exercise, and professional musicians play the scales all their life. So it's appropriate for us to begin our study with the A scale. A is the first letter of the alphabet, and eventually we will go through all 12 scales. In fact, there are a few more scales, but I think 12 will be plenty for us to learn. And these scales are available on my website. You should run them off and use them just as I will in this demonstration. The first scale we will learn is the A major scale. This is the A major scale. In traditional notation, here is the A major scale in Gabriel notation. And we can discuss a few of the advantages first. For example, in traditional notation, you would think that each of these intervals between the notes is the same, but that is not correct. In Gabriel notation, you have the correct intervals. Now this is an A, and B is one whole step above. In other words, there's one key between. Between the B and C sharp, there is another key in between. That is a whole step. But between the C sharp and the D, there is no key between. That is a half step. I've explained before the significance of having 2 whole steps at the beginning of a scale and 3 whole steps at the end of the scale. It represents man approaching heaven, because 2 represents a man and a woman, 3 represents the divine Trinity. Another tremendous advantage, of course, is that the white keys are represented by white notes and the black keys by black notes. Much easier to read than in traditional notation. Now, in A major scale, there are 3 sharps. The 3 sharps are indicated at the beginning of each clef in the key signature. In other words, C sharp, F sharp, and G sharp. And you have to remember to modify each of these notes. The notes are in the C major scale. They're all white keys. But we have to remember that depending on which scale you are playing, what the key signature is. With Gabriel notation, you don't have to remember any key signature, because whether it is a black key or a white key is indicated in the note head itself. So now let's start playing the A major scale. And first, of course, we locate the note D as usual. D is easy to find. It is the white key between the 2 black keys, and the 3 white keys to the right of D are E, F, and G, and to the left of D are A, B, and C. Therefore, this note is A, and that's the first note of the A major scale. And we played that with the thumb, so I put a 1 under there. Not all music includes the fingering, but since this is a basic course, I have included the fingering to make it easy. So let's go through it slowly. The thumb plays the A. The second finger plays B. C sharp is played with the third finger. And then you have to slide under with the thumb. The thumb plays D. The E is played with the second finger. The third finger plays F sharp. The G sharp is played with the fourth finger. And finally, returning to A, the octave note, play with your 5th finger. And you reverse the same process coming down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. So now let's try the bass clef, and the notes are the same. Notice how the notes are in the same position, no matter whether you are in the treble clef or in the bass clef. This is not true with traditional notation. The first note A is at a space, the second space from the bottom, whereas in the bass clef it is in the bottom space. This confusing situation is eliminated in Gabriel notation. So now the fingering is slightly different because we don't start with a thumb, we start with a fifth finger. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. And of course, going in reverse, 1, 2, 3, cross under, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you get real daring, you can play the two together. I would begin by practicing one clef at a time, the treble clef and the bass clef. And learning these scales will help you throughout your career as a musician. Even very practiced performers play their scales very likely every day. It's not only good practice for the fingers, but it is good for your understanding of musical theory and in your understanding of how the universe works. As I said, 2 comes before 3 as you approach heaven. And that is the philosophy lesson for today, as well as your first music lesson in playing scales. That concludes lesson 7 on my Gabriel Music Notation system. As you can see, it's much easier than traditional notation. The intervals are correct. The black keys are indicated by black notes. And there are only 4 lines in the staff compared to 5 lines in traditional notation. And you can download the sheets of paper that I used, the music sheets, from my website. And in fact, you should. And until we get to the other scales, you should practice this one. You should learn it by heart. As I say, professional musicians play the scales all their life. You don't always find the fingering, as we did today on the sheets that I have prepared for this program, but the fingering will be included on the sheets that you can download from my thirdeaglemedia.com website. They should be on there now. If not, they will be very shortly. And on the next program, we will continue up the scale. We will do B-flat scale on the next program.